Everyone got Coach Prentice Gill here. Coach, if you just want to talk about what you've seen from the wide receivers so far early this year.
Yeah, I feel like we're growing, we're getting better. You know, in the spring, it was more about learning, trying to learn the system. We had a new system, there's a lot of moving parts. And now I feel like we're kind of finally starting to get to a point where we can play fast and talent is starting to come out, you know. So proud of the group. I mean, I know I'm hard on those guys and sometimes, you know, I feel like they get a little discouraged, but we have so far to travel in such a little time. But very pleased with my group. Young guys stepped in and they kind of created some type of depth and balance, and that's really good. And excited to see how we're gonna look in a couple weeks.
Hode.
Hi, Prentice. In regards to the scheme itself, I mean, how do you feel that those spring practices, even though it seems like a million years ago, are helping, especially the returning wide receivers now when you're trying to implement the scheme these days?
They helped a lot. You know, they helped a lot because they gave us some type of foundation. I think the biggest person that helped is Jaden. In this system, you need elite quarterback play, and that's not just as far as the play itself. That's as far as like organizing and moving the pieces around. And I think the 7 practices helped Jaden get used to that. It helped our guys get used to it. And when 5 is used to it, even if our guys do get a little lost out there, Jaden is now at the point where he can kind of move pieces around and get things done. So I think it was huge. I think if we didn't have it, it would be really hard to function right now.
Chris?
Hey, Prentice. Where do you think Johnny and LV are at relative to where you hope that they would be at this point in time? And what will they bring to the offense overall?
Johnny and LV, I think LV has surpassed where I hoped he would have been, and I think Johnny's close. I think both of those guys have really came in and took ownership of the fact that they're not freshmen. And I always tell them that, like, you're not freshmen. And I think they both came and they took ownership to that, and they're working. You know, me knowing both of the kids before they got here, LV is just a little bit further along, really just because of shape. But Johnny is right behind him. He's right behind him, and I think they are exactly what we needed to do to push this group, you know, from a depth standpoint and from a playmaking standpoint and just bringing something different. Those guys are dynamic in their own ways.
Hunter?
Hey, Prentice. It's Hunter Hipple, Walter Cronkite Sports Network. Johnny mentioned that he's been lining up in the slot a little bit. Can you talk about how that kind of unlocks this offense a little bit and what the kind of variation that it kind of brings?
Yeah, I mean, he's a big body in the slot, and when he does get in the slot, it creates mismatches. You know, but I think the biggest thing about Johnny is that he's not just a big guy. The kid can move. You know, he's a kid that can really move. And I think if you put a bigger guy on him, he moves better than him. If you put a little guy on him, he's bigger than him. So it creates really bad matchups. And it gives us a lot of versatility in the offense, and it really does unlock a lot of different options and different things we could do with him. But you know, it also puts a lot on him, and I tell him that too. Like, you know, with all of this stuff we're putting on you, you have a responsibility to try to go learn it. You know, so he has to learn more than the average freshman, I would say. But it's big. It'll be big for us.
Anyone else? Chris, go ahead.
Trying to see these returning guys that played some last year, got their feet wet, but a lot more is going to be asked of them this year, like Jordan Porter or Ricky Pearsall. What are you seeing from them overall, and what should be capable from them this year?
Seeing a lot. You know, they've seen a lot of growth. Honestly, Ricky grew a lot. You know, I think Johnny is helping GP get pushed a lot, and I think that's in the last 3 days. I mean, GP has had his best 3 days in the last 3 days, and I think a lot of that is just due to the new depth in the room. So you're seeing a lot of growth, and even Andre Johnson. That kid is stepping up a lot, especially for somebody who didn't even play last year. You know, but those guys are returning guys, but they're not older guys, if that makes sense. You know, nobody in the room has played besides Frank Darby, and even though they're a little bit older in age, they haven't played. You know, so you kind of got to keep remembering that as you're going through the process and understand that a lot of this is still new for them. You know, even them, just like the freshmen. You know, you got guys that I mean, in a sense, almost kind of redshirted because it's a new offense and they didn't play a lot in the game. So, you know, with them having no game experience really like that and being a new offense, you kind of are where a red shirt might be. So we got a young, talented group. We just got to grow up fast as far as situational. And I'm looking forward to it because I will say I don't think those guys will flinch when Saturday comes.
Jeff?
Yeah, Prentice, there's a tendency to just say, well, you know, they don't have Ayuk and it's going to be a huge drop off. I'm sensing you don't see it that way.
No, I don't. I mean, this is my first year at Arizona State, but, you know, just from the outside looking in, I mean, they didn't have Jalen Strong, and then here came N'Keal Harry, and then they didn't have N'Keal Harry, and here came Ayuk. So, I mean, that's just kind of how it goes, you know, and the way I look at it is every guy's their own different guy. You know, Frank Darby's different than Ayuk. Ayuk was different than N'Keal, and N'Keal was different than Jalen, and, you know, the next guy is going to be up, and we have special guys in that room, and you know, somebody's going to be that special guy. You know, we might have – my goal is to try to make sure that we don't just have one special guy. You know, I think that that's something that I try to harp to myself a lot is to make sure we don't get in that world, you know. But I don't get into all that. You know, I'm happy for Ayuk. I'm happy for the guys that were here before, you know, but I can only concentrate on the guys that's in the room.
Alex?
Hey, Coach, I'm curious, what have you seen from Frank as far as his leadership skills since he was – you know, named captain and just being the senior on the squad?
Well, Frank was named captain because he was kind of already being a captain, you know, so I don't think anything has changed since he's been named captain. He was always the leader, not even just of the group, but the team, and he leads by example. He leads by, you know, verbal, you know, so the guy really cares about – the best thing about Frank is he's an older guy that truly cares about the positive direction of the team, you know, and he's constantly watching other guys and trying to correct different things. And with him doing that, it then holds him to a high standard because you can't correct guys and then do things the wrong way. So he's doing everything that he needs to do, and he's getting better himself. And I just keep pushing him to not focus so much on just being a captain, but him also growing himself and stepping into that number one role. So that's what we talk about a lot.
All right, thanks, Coach.